So to kick off our civilizations unit, we're going to talk about elements of a civilization. And to help us remember, yes, we're going to use the acronym SPACES. So just to get that in your head. So what makes a civilization? And I always love to put two things together to help us to remember. And since I love cake, I thought that would be a fun place to start. So a civilization can be thought of like a recipe for a cake. When all of the ingredients are present, something very special does begin to happen. A civilization is born. So when you put all of these elements of a civilization that we're going to discuss today together, you end up with a very rich, diverse, and advanced civilization. Here's the deal. If any one of those elements are missing, then the cake doesn't work, or it suffers in this case, just like a civilization would. So it's very important that we know and understand all of these elements of a civilization. So every society must have the following to be considered a civilization. So the overall word spaces actually means the geography of a place. Where is it that they have settled to make their permanent settlement? Where is that location? That is the geography and the overall spaces. So to help you remember that. In addition, your first S is that steady food supply or permanent settlement. P stands for the political systems or government. A stands for their achievements. C is their culture or their highly developed way of life. 5 is their economies or how they deal with money. 6 is their social structure. So these 7 elements, right? The 6 of the word spaces and spaces in general, the 7 elements of a civilization are super important. We'll dig into them today, but you will also be learning about them at a deeper level every year of your high school career when it comes to social studies. So what's going to happen right now is I would like you to take a minute to go find your social studies binder or your social studies folder and a piece of paper or a notebook where you can write down each of the space elements, and you're going to copy down the definition that goes with it. Now that you have those supplies, let's start with the overall spaces. That's the geography of a place. So just to give you an example, many of the first civilizations had to settle near water. Water is a must for sustainability when it comes to being a human. So we need that water for irrigation to grow our steady food supply. So therefore, geography is one of those basic elements that we have to have. Now we're able to use things like wells and pipes, and you have water flowing right inside your home. And we've definitely advanced in those technologies to help us with that. But in the beginning, in the time that we're going to be discussing, they had to figure out a way to really settle near that water. So let's dig into our first one here. And I'd love for you all to write down stable food supply and this definition. And we will pause and start, and really you can pause this. And if you're watching this on your own, you can pause this and start it again once you have the definition down. And we will do that together in class today. So a stable food supply is a consistent, stable, and dependable supply of food, which creates the capability for permanent settlement, meaning they don't have to run day after day after day to find their next meal. The reason why this is important is that you have a stability not in just the food that you eat, but that allows you to stay in one place, which then in turn helps you with all the other elements of civilization. Think about a day when you've skipped a meal or you've skipped a couple meals. Can your brain function as well as it would on a full stomach? And that is what happened and why civilizations weren't created until there was the capacity to have farming, to have animals that would work as well for a steady food supply. So some examples are some of the civilizations that we'll discuss is like the terrace gardens of the ancient civilizations. We'll talk about the wheat and cornfields if you've ever driven through the Midwest in the US, rice fields in ancient China, commercial farming, where they have chickens and cows or pigs or things like that. Really think about if you have to miss a meal, are you able to have a common straight thought where you're ready to go? I find it to be very difficult. So let's move on to the next one. Again, make sure you have your pencils ready. We're going to write down political systems. And the definition for that one is government, leaders, advisors, and laws that they create. So who has this power? How do they get the power? How do they keep it? You guys have just witnessed how power and people in that role here in the United States works in a democracy, is that we have a vote. And obviously, this year was certainly have some higher emotions, but think about the time in the ancient civilizations, as we'll learn, is that the new leader came in when they killed the previous leader, or maybe they were born into that position. So we'll be looking at different political type systems throughout this year, as well as in your future years as well. So some examples, or one example that I thought would be the best, is that we were actually not the first country to use a democratic society. Actually, the Greeks were the pioneers of a democratic government. So our next one in our spaces is achievements. And achievements can range and look differently in the past as they do today. Right now you're thinking, okay, how is their innovations of technology as good as what we have today, or the computer or the phone? But they really were advanced for their time. So please write down achievements and the lasting works of a society. These can include the innovations of both science and technology. So when thinking about that, even though there's not a computer or the internet or data for you to use, the Aztecs actually created a way to find pressure with water, which is a really pretty advanced innovation for their time. There was no computers, there was no technology, there was no machinery. They built everything by hand, and they figured out a way through the space in the tunnels that they created for the water to create a stronger water pressure to help them with both how they live, what they use for bathing, as well as for irrigation for their fields. So thinking about things that still affect our life today, or innovations that happen, is that's really a concept that was transferred into the use of technology and piping and plumbing systems. What else was made to last? Well, we have the pyramids in Egypt. So thinking about those pyramids, there are people who still go there today to really witness this amazing type of architecture. And so it's just something to think about. Achievements may look different to you today as they did in the past. And it's interesting to see the values and importance as we have moved along in time. Our next letter is C, and that's for culture. So if you could write down culture, and then let's add this definition. A highly developed way of life. It's the arts, the language, beliefs, customs, religion, and other products of human work and thought shared by a group of people. So remember how we talked about kind of that transference of ideas in our movement unit. So sharing of ideas like the way people eat, the type of foods that they choose to eat, the manners at the table, the rules that you have within your own house and with other in other situations. So just like the rules that we live by today may be different in our home, that we have a different set of rules in school. Parents have a different set of rules in their workplace. It could come down to the clothes that you wear, the food that you eat, how you spend your time, your own personal religious beliefs or personal customs. This is that advanced way of life. Remember when I said it's hard to think of these things when there's no food in your tummy? The same went for civilizations. Civilizations, when people had the time and they weren't out spending their entire day looking for their next meal, they had time for advanced thought. And that's where these things started to come about. So some examples of culture are things that we do as hobbies, like watching football. It could be the way that we celebrate, like the 4th of July. It could be the manner in how we eat, or what we choose to eat, and how we sit down with our family for a meal. It could be that the time that you go out. Could it be for a special occasion? Whatever it is it holiday? Is it a particular clothing? Your own personal culture in your life is really a reflection of what has happened in previous civilizations as well. So we get to the E in spaces, and that's economies or economics. So the economy of a particular civilization really varied, both in the ancient civilizations and today. As we'll see, especially when we first start looking into the Mayans, trade was a really big factor for them. And one of the first primary documents that we'll look at is a trade map, which is really cool to kind of see how they took the resources and the scarce resources that they had and used that to trade to get what they need. So if you guys could write down economies or economics and how a society uses its scarce or few or limited resources and what they're really doing, how they use it to get what they need, right? So now our resources tend to be money. When you get a job, you get money and use that to buy the food that you need, to pay for the housing of where you live, to buy the clothes that you need or items that you need for school or for your job. What different civilizations valued over the years has definitely changed. How those resources are distributed really tie into our next element of spaces as well. But you'll notice that throughout the years, definitely our idea of trade has changed. We still follow that idea of trade, but we use different forms of items to trade. Now we use our dollars, our cents, our credits, and things like that. Whereas in the past, gold was actually a very valuable resource that was used to trade among civilizations for the items that they needed. So our last element of spaces or of our civilization is that social structure. Please go ahead and write this down as well. The different levels or classes in a society. And so this is something that will be maybe of a new concept for you. Unfortunately or fortunately, depending on which category, is that people are given an importance based on income often, especially here in America. And that really did not just start now. That really started in the ancient civilization. So we'll talk about some social structures when it came to the Mayans and the Incas and the Aztecs. And unfortunately, in those times, there was a different level. If you were on a particular social structure, you were also sacrificed as well. So definitely times have changed, which thank goodness, some things we've kept and held on to and have used in our current civilizations, and some things we have not. So just to give you an example of kind of on the left here, that Aztec social pyramid about who was, even though there was less of them, royalty definitely was at the top and kind of the head. Same with that really pyramid has not changed. And if you look on the right, that's a similar pyramid to what we look at here in America today. We'll talk about that a little bit as far as how that really affects our civilizations of today. So a civilization is many things. It is the space or the geography of where it is, a stable food supply, political systems, achievements, culture, economic systems, and social structure. So here's all of your elements of your civilization. And that's it. So just really think about, we're going to have a discussion about what is most important when it comes to a civilization. What would be the least important? Which ingredients must a civilization have in order to survive and thrive? We will also get into how civilizations did not make it and why.